Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, March 13th, and we are back in class. I am Michael KARLS, brought to you by Coachella Sports and Entertainment Stadium Authority, and we're talking spring sports again today as we had a slew of baseball games last night in the Valley, especially in the DEL realm. First game, we were at the La Quinta versus Xavier Prep matchup, and La Quinta comes out with the win there, 6-1 on some great pitching performances, some timely hitting by some big-time hitters on that La Quinta baseball lineup, and some tough going for the Xavier Saints as they just couldn't get anything going, really couldn't get any base runners on base as much as they'd like to, and could only score that one run early in the ball game as La Quinta finds a way to beat them in yet again this year. Other scores around the league, Palm Desert takes care of Palm Springs 13-2, so a big-time flex by the Aztecs there, proving why they are one of the best teams in the Valley. And finally, Rancho Mirage picks up their first win of the DEL season with a 1-0 win over Shadow Hills on the back of Jason Bittner, who throws a complete game no-hitter. Unbelievable performance by that young man to keep Shadow Hills at bay and get the first league win for his team. Some big-time stuff there. We will have, after our break, we will go into the DEL power rankings for us, and we do have some movement going on, and a lot of different things happening around the league in terms of teams beating up on each other, but like we all know, there are two teams up there at the top that are going to be tough to beat, and we will see where those teams fall in our power rankings. Other news, we do have softball leading the way here in the Valley. DVL is in full swing. DEL is still playing a few of their non-conference games in between some league games. So as soon as league is in full swing, we will be at some of those softball games for sure. To take a quick look at our DEL softball power rankings, we are going to make some changes here as some teams did move around and do some different things for us. Starting up at the top, number one for me is Palm Desert, undefeated in league at the moment. I believe 10-3 on the season overall, and just doing a great job of taking care of business when they need to, beating the teams they need to, and staying competitive against some of the tougher teams around the southern section in California. Second, I have La Quinta. La Quinta also undefeated in league there and doing a great job of staying in range of Palm Desert. So that matchup of Palm Desert La Quinta, not only in baseball but in softball as well, is going to be an exciting one to see for sure. Third, I have Palm Springs. Palm Springs coming in at third. Love their coaching staff. Always getting those girls ready to play is huge, and I believe that they can compete with anyone on any given day, and it's all depends on how that ball is spinning and how that pitcher is throwing for Palm Springs. And so I like Palm Springs there at third. I think they can do some things. I think they can sneak into the playoffs if they beat the other teams in DEL and maybe steal one or two respectively from Palm Desert and or La Quinta. Fourth, I have Shadow Hills. Shadow Hills is on a bit of a losing streak here, 2 in a row, 4-5 overall on the year. They do have a win in DEL, however, so they are right in the thick of things when it comes to the 3, 4, 5, 6 teams here in DEL softball. Just respectively, Shadow Hills, Palm Springs, and Xavier Prep all have one win in DEL, while Rancho Mirage is still looking for their first win in DEL. So at number 4, I do have Shadow Hills. They score they don't give up as many runs and they don't score as many runs, but they do have a great great lineup that they can rely on to get some runs in for them and possibly win some more games for them. Fifth, I have Xavier Prep. Xavier Prep at 5. I like what the new staff is doing over there at Xavier Prep. I like what they're doing in terms of making moves and making changes and trying to get the program back on track, and having a big walk-off win against Palm Springs a couple weeks ago is huge for them. So I like where they're at, and I like Xavier Prep, and I like the direction that they're moving. And finally, 6th is Rancho Mirage, still looking for their first win in DEL. Right now, not doing too well in terms of scoring runs. It's going to be tough, especially in softball, if you can't score runs and you can't have pitcher throw strikes. It's going to be very difficult for you to stay in games, and that's at this point, Rancho Mirage is struggling with that. So just to recap, the DEL softball power rankings: number 1, Palm Desert; number 2, La Quinta; number 3, Palm Springs; number 4, Shadow Hills; number 5, Xavier Prep; and number 6, Rancho Mirage. So that is our DEL softball. We will bring you the DVL softball, the Desert Valley League softball power rankings, tomorrow, along with our DVL baseball power rankings. So you be on the lookout for those on tomorrow's show, as we do have a few games going on for DVL in that aspect. Other news, hearing through the grapevine that track is starting this week. I believe there are meets that will be going on, not just today, but in the coming days. Being that I have to do most of the research on my own, it's kind of difficult to be able to find some of these schedules for some of these certain sports. For example, on Max Preps, I can't find any of the track meet schedules for any of the Valley teams. So that has been very difficult for me to find. And I would love to be at some of these dual meets and the DEL or DVL finals. That would be some big time stuff. So if you have schedules for your school, or you know when these events are happening, please contact us, send us messages, follow us on Twitter, send them on Twitter, have your school's main Twitter accounts for your athletics follow us. That way we can follow all of the stuff that's going on in your school, and that way we can be up to date as much as we can, because at the moment, me and super producer Scott here are the ones that are doing all the work, and it's basically us just trying to research and find and figure things out. So rather than us missing things and not being able to go to things just because we don't know where they are, let us know, and that way we can coordinate and we can be out there and we can check it out and see all of this great talent that's here in the Valley. And that goes the same for boys golf, tennis, any other sports that you can find at the moment during the springtime. That will be huge for us. So please contact us. Let us know what's going on. That way we can be at these things, because I know we've been predominantly covering baseball at the moment, and that's only because those are so easy for us to find and get in contact with and figure out the schedule. So please let us know what's going on in your school, what events are happening, so that we can show up to those and you guys can get that great spotlight and support. We will be going over our DEL power rankings after the break here. A lot of stats flying around. One in particular that I did not mention, I have been mentioning that La Quinta is the defending Division IV CIF champs for baseball, which is true. That is a fact. That's not fake, but they are also now in Division II for baseball. So when playoff time comes around, they are in Division II for baseball. So making that change there, that honestly didn't make any change to what the power rankings are for me at the moment, but that's something that's good to know. And hey, if you're still a defending CIF champ, hold that head up high. That's proud. That's big time stuff. Be a Division IV CIF champ. Own that stuff. That's big time stuff right there. Don't just try to jump on just to Division II so quickly, because until that final pitch is thrown in that championship game, in those CIF championship games, you still are the defending champs in Division 4. So that is still some big-time stuff. And I got some big-time stats coming our way, like I said, for our power rankings, so you do not want to miss those. And we are going to take a break at the moment, and when we come back, this is CLAHS. And we are back in class. I am Michael KARLS, and we are talking DEL Power Rankings. New one for this week. We're doing them every Wednesday, so we are not going to mess around. We are going to get into the thick of things here. Big old mess of stuff going on in that 3, 4, 5, 6 range when it comes to DEL baseball. Basically, all these teams have been beating up on each other, while Palm Desert and La Quinta still rolling on winning in their DEL matchups. So for number 6, to start it off, number 6 in our DEL power rankings is going to be Palm Springs. Palm Springs, their one win in DEL this year is against Xavier Prep, a 10-5 win on the road at Xavier Prep. Palm Springs, they got a good baseball team, just not enough horses, in my opinion, offensively to be able to compete with the higher-end teams, and I think having that one win against Xavier is big-time stuff, but I think once Xavier is able to gain some more confidence when it comes to experience and being able to win closer games and not give up so many errors and stuff like that, like a game like that where Palm Springs scores, I think they scored half of their runs unearned, so those coming off of errors, that's tough stuff. So for Palm Springs, though, they do have 2 pitchers that I really like that can win games for them. However, it all is just going to come down to how many runs they're going to be able to score offensively. And playing against a team like Palm Desert a couple of times, that is going to be difficult to get some confidence against a team like that. And seeing that Palm Desert beat them 13-2 last night is pretty tough, but I'm not sleeping on Palm Springs just yet. They can still move up as high as 4th for me at any point in the season, maybe even 3rd if they get onto a run, but just as of right now, they are 6th, and somebody has to be 6th. At number 5, I have Rancho Mirage. Rancho Mirage picking up their first DEL win last year on a no-hitter by Jason Bittner. However, only scoring 1 run late in that ball game, that's tough for me, man. That is tough. So in order for them to pick up their first win, they had to have a superb performance on the mound, something that's very rare in baseball. Well, actually, it's not, in my opinion, it's not really rare at all. It's actually like lightning striking. No-hitter can happen at any possible moment. But a big-time performance by Jason Bittner to be able to throw that no-hitter, that's very rare to see it from a high school standpoint. But in terms of of their offensive production, I just still don't quite see it yet. Leaving guys on base and missing on these opportunities to score more runs is what's hurting them at the moment. And once they're able to get past that kind of logjam of not capitalizing on big opportunities, I think Rancho Mirage is going to be able to find their sea legs and be able to move up higher, not only in DEL standings, but in our power rankings also. And so with Rancho Mirage having their only win against Shadow Hills, I have at number 4 is Shadow Hills, with Shadow Hills' only win being against Rancho Mirage. So a bit of a back and forth there for me. Not many people believe that Shadow Hills is one of those teams that should be around that 3, 4, 5 spot. But for me, I think Shadow Hills has a very solid baseball team for them. And it's just putting it all together. You have your new manager in there with Coco Crisp, trying to find what his vision is and trying to direct his team in that right direction. It's just a matter of being able to put it all together at one point, especially in baseball, man. It's tough to be able to get quality pitching, quality at-bats, timely hitting, and great defense all in one game. And that's what Shadow Hills is struggling with, is being able to put all those pieces together at one point or another. And you say, well, how can you put a team like Shadow Hills up above Rancho Mirage when Rancho Mirage just no-hit them? Well, hey, I'll give you an example. Last season in Major League Baseball, Boston Red Sox were the best team in spring training, best team in the regular season, best team in the postseason, win the World Series, and they get no hit by the Oakland A's early in their regular season. So no-hitter is not going to tell me whether a team is good or bad. That just means the pitcher had a great performance that day and was able to shut down a team. And, like I always say, especially for sports, hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in all of sports. So for Shadow Hills, I'm not going to hold that no-hitter against them too much, but they have in their games, so they've beaten Rancho Mirage, and they've also lost to Rancho Mirage on that no-hitter, and then they've also lost to Palm Desert twice. But those two Palm Desert games, however, have been close matchups, and they've been in those games and competing against a Palm Desert team that is, the top dog in the DEL, man. So if you can stay close with them, I believe that you can stay close and compete with the other teams in DEL. Does that mean I think they're going to beat La Quinta? No. After watching La Quinta last night, they have a great baseball team and hard throwing pitchers. They have great lefty pitching too. They have some hitters in that lineup that can absolutely rake and put the ball in play and do some good things for them. So Shadow Hills has stuff they need to work on, just like the rest of these 3, 4, 5, 6 teams. So I have Shadow Hills at that number 4 spot. Number 3, I have Xavier Prep. Okay, so Xavier, being that their only win in DEL is against Palm Springs, and then losing to Palm Springs, and also losing to La Quinta. Last night's game, the 6-1, it could have been closer considering a few things, but to me it just wasn't as close as the game indicated in terms of I didn't really see that many hard hit balls by Xavier Prep offensively. Their pitching, Xavier sneaky has one of the better pitching staffs in DEL, and being able to watch DVM last night pitch and also Blake Powers come in relief, held the game fairly steady for his team. It was a couple of bloop shots by La Quinta that dropped in, and then a rope down the line that cleared the bases on a bases-loaded double. So it wasn't too much that was happening there. It's just a matter of being in the right place defensively and being able to attack hitters when they're pitching, and being able to attack pitchers when they're at the plate, because a lot of times I saw them waiting back and sitting and not attacking first pitch fastballs when they see them and like them. So when you fall behind in a count, especially against the upper echelon teams like La Quinta and Palm Desert, it's going to be difficult to get base runners on, especially when it's a 1-2 count, 2-2, 0-2 pitches, stuff like that. And even on full counts, that's you got to protect. With 2 strikes, it widens the strike zone just a bit, so you have to protect the plate, and that's something that Xavier has to definitely work on moving forward. But I have them at the moment at number 3, just because all 3, 4, 5, 6 are all have 1 win in DEL respectively. So once these teams start to play against each other, and now we start to get a more clear understanding of what teams do better against others, then we'll be able to get a better picture of these power rankings. So at the moment, I have Xavier at number 3. Okay, moving on to our 2 top dogs, the creme de la creme of the DEL. And at number 2 is your defending CIF Division 4 champs, your Division 2 La Quinta Blackhawks. Yes, they are still number 2 for me. Being able to watch them last night, I'll give them the biggest credit here. You guys have the horses, you have the dogs that can go into a Palm Desert baseball game and win that baseball game. Yes, that is facts there for sure. Do you think you deserve to be ahead of them? Sure, maybe you do think you should be ahead of them. Are you ahead of them? Not until you beat them. That's the key right there, man. Just to give you a few stats for Palm Desert in terms of league wins and losses. The last time Palm Desert lost a league game was in 2017, and that was against Indio. Okay, so Indio's not even in DVL anymore, and that game was a 2-1 loss for Palm Desert in 2017. Their last loss to La Quinta was 2016, and that was a 1-0 loss, and it went into extra innings. Okay, so until La Quinta, this is I'm talking directly to you guys right here. You're number 2 until you go in and beat Palm Desert. That's just the way it is. Sorry that Alabama is Alabama, and they're going to be Alabama, and they're going to be number 1 until somebody knocks them off. That's the way it's going to work for me. I can't put a team ahead of you if you haven't beat them since 2016. That just doesn't that won't compute for me, because so for example, if I put La Quinta number 1 right now, and then as an example, hypothetically speaking, if Palm Desert beats them pretty handily, now what does that say for the power rankings, right? Making you jump ahead of Palm Desert when you haven't proven that you should jump ahead against Palm Desert. So La Quinta, you've proven that you can compete, and yes, you can beat Palm Desert, but until that happens, I got to keep you at number 2, man, because that's a big time thing. 3 for Palm Desert, 3 losses since 2015, 3 league losses since 2015. Okay, that's big time stuff. That's a Division I program. This isn't not their first time out on the block here, and this isn't their first rodeo, man. And so for La Quinta, you guys have some big time players. I love your lineup. Sakemi Sato was big time at the plate, having 2 doubles last night, was tearing the cover off the ball. You had Andrew Pinedo on the mound throwing that fastball by Xavier batters and just couldn't catch up with them. And then Sato coming in to close the game with his fastball that was heating up and had movement on it. That's big time stuff right there. But for me, seeing that, that's going to be an exciting game. That flag game, Palm Desert La Quinta, is going to be exciting. So La Quinta, you can do it, man. I'm with you. I want to see some exciting matchups and see some close games. So at the moment, I got to keep you at number 2. And number one, I have Palm Desert here. Still, yet again, number one is Palm Desert, handing Palm Springs a big-time loss last night, 13-2, and having wins against Rancho Mirage, Palm Springs, Shadow Hills twice, and Palm Springs twice. That's big-time stuff for Palm Desert, while La Quinta only has wins against Xavier Prep and Rancho Mirage, okay? So the body of work for Palm Desert, even though we're looking at preseason wins and non-conference win-loss record, fine, whatever. Look at those. That's fine. I don't care. I'm looking at what's happening in league. And so what's happening in league right now is Palm Desert has beaten 3 out of the 6 teams in league, right? 3 out of the 6 teams in league. And the one close game against Shadow Hills for them was that one-run ball game that ended up being a win for them. So for Palm Desert, man, until they get beat, they're going to be number one for me, because you can't just unseed a number one team just based solely on because Max Preps has the winning percentage of your overall record higher than the other team. That's just not going to work for me, man. So right now, for our DEL power rankings, number 1, Palm Desert. Number 2, La Quinta. Number 3, Xavier Prep. Number 4, Shadow Hills. Number 5, Rancho Mirage. And number 6, Palm Springs. One of the matchups that I'm going to be looking forward to the most are going to be Xavier Shadow Hills. I want to see what Xavier can do with a team that is a strong baseball team, but is beatable for Xavier with that pitching staff, but they got to get the hitting going. And I also want to be able to see a Rancho Palm Springs matchup. That one's going to be an interesting one for me. And then also Rancho Xavier is going to be an interesting matchup for me. So that's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be whittling down to the later part of the year for our power rankings and seeing where these teams are going to stack up. But as of right now, that 1-2 of Palm Desert La Quinta, I know it's tough, but giving you that the motivation to go in there and beat a Palm Desert team, I would be foaming at the mouth to be having that number 2 spot, and that gives me that extra edge going into a Palm Desert game and coming out of there with a W. So DEL baseball, man, it's been fun. It's been an exciting ride so far, watching all these kids, being able to interview them, interact, doing some great stuff out on the field, on the mound, at the plate. Love watching the baseball. One of the things that was talking to a couple of people last night at the game, and if you watch the broadcast of last night's game, the La Quinta Xavier Prep game, the home plate umpire had a interesting strike zone when it came to both sides, calling strikes that maybe shouldn't have been strikes, but also calling balls that should have been strikes. The strike zone was fluctuating a lot. So in terms of umpires, especially the ones that call balls and strikes, be patient with them. It's difficult. You would like to see, especially a more veteran group of umpires, you'd like to see them call the game the same way for both sides. So being able to find that strike zone and being able to figure it out early is what's going to help a lot of these teams, because a lot of looked at third strikes were happening last night, especially, and so you can't get base runners and you can't score runs if you do not swing the bat. So don't allow these umpires to dictate the ball games. And if I'm a coach or a manager for some of these teams, I don't necessarily want to. I'm not going to argue these calls, right? You're never going to win arguing balls and strikes. That's the easiest way to get yourself ejected from a game, actually. But just let them ask for clarification where that pitch was, or what did it, if it was a strike, what part of the plate did it catch, or if it was a ball, where did it miss? Just asking those little simple questions will throw a little nugget into those umpires' minds and think like, okay, well, maybe that one was a little off and everybody else saw it, so I'm going to call this game maybe a little differently, or my strike zone might tighten up, or, whatever the case is. So just having these coaches, maybe ask a little bit more or for clarification, or have their players back in that aspect there. It's such a difficult subject, because that's, especially in baseball, the human error, that's part of the game, man. So arguing balls and strikes will get you nowhere. And so that's something that some of these teams are going to have to deal with moving forward. But for baseball, very exciting time. I saw a few DVL scores from a couple of days ago, so we will have new DVL power rankings coming up tomorrow for baseball. So it's awesome time to be playing baseball in the Valley here. Got some good teams, good solid teams, jockeying for a position and getting prepared for a postseason run possibly. And I can't wait to be here along with the ride. And as long as you guys keep giving us feedback and letting us know how you feel, that's what it's all about. Let us know what you're thinking. Tag the power rankings, do all of that stuff. It's good time stuff. Whether you agree or disagree, that's what sports are all about, man. It's having that conversation. It's being able to debate these types of things, and you can find especially with sports, man, you can find stats anywhere that will help prove your argument, but it will also help hurt your argument too. So, it's a lot of give and take here, and until you play head-to-head against some teams, that's the way the cookie is going to crumble. And I can't wait to see some other DEL matchups as well as some DVL matchups. And then once we get into postseason play, can't wait to see what Division 5 teams will be playing against some other Division 5 teams from DEL and DVL, and possibly meeting in the playoffs there. So that's going to be an excellent time for spring. And just to reiterate, with all the other sports, please let us know what's going on so we can cover them and go out to them for golf, track, tennis, all of them. Just let us know. That way we can coordinate, we can be out there, we can promote it, we can spotlight it, the whole 9 yards, man. And that's what it's all about. We can't forget that huge point. When we talk about high school sports and youth athletics here in CLAHS, which is the only show in the Valley that dedicates its entire time to high school sports and youth athletics here, we need to have the help there, and so let us know what's going on. That way, all of these sports here can be covered, and all of these athletes can get their spotlight, man. And that's what it's all about. Don't forget that little point, that we do this for our youth athletics. We do this for the high school athletics. We do this here for the kids. That's what it's all about, because just like being a former prep athlete here in the Valley, and being one that was not covered until we finally won the CIF championship, then now you want to come around? That's kind of difficult, man. So we want to be there on the whole long haul, man. We want to be there on the entire run, so that we can say, hey, we had La Quinta here at number 2 for the longest, and they came in to a big Palm Desert game and won that game, and then ended up moving on to a big, huge playoff run in Division 2. That would be great for us. That's good time. That is some good stuff, and that's big time for a program to be able to follow them along on their journey and be able to see where it comes to at the end. And that includes all sports and all teams and all the schools, right? So if there's anything else that you want us to see, or we haven't covered yet, or we might have gotten wrong, or whatever the case is, just let us know, because being a volunteer for this is something that I am doing as something that I enjoy, that I like, and that I want to do for others. This is how I am helping my community. So any way that I can get some help from others is huge, because I don't have some fancy program that tells me when all the sports are on or what the schedules are or what's going on throughout the Valley. I have to do my research just like everyone else, man. So let us know what else we can do, what else you want to see. Like, share, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, follow the YouTube, follow Twitter, follow Facebook, all of that good stuff. It's all excellent stuff for our high school athletes, and it's another way for them to get some spotlight and recognition, and it's another way for possibly fans and family members that aren't here in the Valley to enjoy that as well, man, because, you know, that's one of the biggest things is, you know, if you weren't able to be at that La Quinta Xavier prep game last night, that's all right. You can watch that later on the SoCal Coyotes Facebook page from our broadcast, and that's another way that family members can enjoy their, whether it's nephews, grandchildren, whatever the case is, that's another way they can enjoy their athletic careers. So let's not forget about that this is for the kids, man, and it's another way for them to get out there and get known, because I'm going to say this until I'm blue in the face, man. The Valley has talent here, and we can compete with anyone else around the not only California southern section, but possibly other places also, man. So bit of a rant there at the end for class, for sure, but just wanted to reiterate it and let everyone know. So for this edition of Class here, and for Coachella Sports and Entertainment Stadium Authority, I am Michael KARLS, and class is dismissed.